Hi everyone, or I should say buongiorno. I would like to first thank the PyCon Italia organizer and my company Kraken for supporting me to give this keynote. And I will talk about accessibility and make you think about if it's usable for everyone, and think about the people who need accessibility, and if you ever think about that with your work. So let's talk a bit more about me. I'm Sarah Abderemane. You may have noticed my French accent. I'm from Paris, France. I'm a software engineer at Kraken. I may mention that we are recruiting, so we have a booth with a nice pink plushie. So if you'd like to learn more, please go to the booth. I'm also the vice president of the Django Software Foundation. I'm the co-creator of the Django Node Space program, which is a mentorship program to contribute to Django. And I'm also part of the Django accessibility team. That's also why I'm talking about accessibility. I do have knowledge in accessibility, but I'm definitely not an expert, and I'm still learning. I have a website, which is sarahbedi.com, and I'm almost everywhere on social media. Feel free to connect with me. So today, the agenda is a small introduction. I will talk about the real-world cases where accessibility fails and how to fix it, and why fixing accessibility helps everyone, how to make an impact as a developer or data scientist, and to finish a call to action and closing this talk. So I have a question first for you. What is the first word that came in your mind when we talk about web accessibility? So please raise your hand if it was blind or blindness. So quite few people. So there is definitely blind people when we think about web accessibility, but not only. And you will see that through this talk. So together, let's see a few ways you can see one slide on a bright screen. So this is our slide. So there is three shapes. From left to right, there is a red circle written red in white in the center. In the middle, we have an orange square with the word orange in white in the middle. And at the end, a green triangle with the word green written in white inside it. So this is quite simple. And this is how someone have low vision will see this screen. So you can definitely see the shape, but you are not able to actually read the text, right? And another way to see it's when you have tunnel vision. So it's really like looking through a tunnel. The central part will remain clear, but everything around the edges will be dark, blurry, or completely black out, as this slide. So you may wonder when you have tunnel vision, like, is the red shape is actually a circle, or if the green shape is actually a triangle. And this is not the same way to navigate. You have to move your head to be able to see everything. And here it's only three shape, but if it's a website, you have definitely more elements to see. And this is not the same way to navigate through a website. And there are even more things that impact the way you can navigate through a website. For example, photophobia is when you have migraines with bright screen, or even mobility impairment, when you use a keyboard or your voice to access a website. A lot of things can impact the way you navigate a website. And this is also applicable to accessibility in general in your common life. But today we'll talk more about the web, since you are tech people. So you have to make sure it's usable by everyone, which means that poor design excludes many users. I've mentioned visual facts, but let's see some numbers now. 94.8% of the most popular 1 million websites online has recognized WCAG failures. And this is from the WebM Mainland, which is a report from this year on accessibility of the top 1 million homepage. So what is WCAG? WCAG is a Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. It's an international standard document, and it explains how you can make the web content more accessible to people with disabilities. And all of those errors, over 96% of them fall into just 6 categories. So there is low contrast text, missing alternative text, missing form input label, empty links, empty button, and missing document language. Like, for example, if you said EN for English on the document. So this number is for the whole world, but let's see some numbers in Europe, since you are in Europe. So 260,000 European websites were tested from the Digital Trust Index. They run a survey, and they have seen that 100 million of people have disability in Europe, which means 1 in 4 adults have some form of disabilities. And since we are in Italy, I've checked how many in Italy, and it's 95% of pages we fail accessibility tests in Italy. As you can see, it's a lot of numbers. I have a small video to show you how you can be permanently disabled, but also how you can be temporarily disabled just through a situation or circumstances. This video is from the Rema 1000, which is a Norwegian supermarket chain. And their concept is simplicity is king, which is also their philosophy. And this way you can see how you can be impacted like day to day.
Jazz. Smoothie.
Making smoothie.
Calendar.
No meetings today. Remember, dentist at 9:30.
Fire off.
Fire off.
Open door.
Door open.
And we're going to do one more.
Arm. Open door.
Run voice command.
Open door.
Run voice command.
Open. Open door.
Repeat that.
Open door.
I didn't understand that.
Hey! Open door!
Play on the floor.
So as you can see, sometimes it can be really hard. So something that works perfectly doesn't work anymore, and this applies really to everyone. So there are many ways you can see yourself impacted. I really like this image because it shows how many ways you can see yourself impacted. There are visual, hearing, cognitive, and motor disabilities. And a lot of things are usually just temporary or situational that you can relate. For example, if you are a new parent, you will carry your baby in one arm and you will have only another arm to be able to do all of the other stuff you have to do. Or if you are going to the party and there is a lot of sounds and it's really hard for you to hear your friend talking. Or if you know someone with a heavy accent and you will have troubles to really understand, and you might ask this person to repeat a lot of time to make sure you really understand what the person said. So this is some example, and you might have been already able to experience them. But you have to know that people without accessibility needs also can use accessible tools. Like, keyboard can be used only just for efficiency. Some people prefer to only use that and not use the mouse. You can use high contrast on websites, and there are many more things that you can use without being disabled specifically. So small and inclusive change really benefit to all. So all I want to say at the end is accessibility is really for everyone. You can be impacted at some point, even if it's temporary, or you can be impacted permanently, and it can also happen to one of your friends or someone which is close to you. Another thing to know is there are some companies who have things in common, even Beyoncé, Netflix, Domino's, and Amazon. The things they have in common is they have been all been suited for not having an accessible site, and has to go back and redo their website to make it accessible. There have been legal cases about accessibility for years now, and it includes many companies, included like really big companies. Accessibility is not something new, but it's taken more seriously with laws and legislation. There is 2 directives in European Union that exist. The first one is directed to public sector, which is the Web Accessibility Directive. So it's based on the standard which is called the EN 301549, which is a norm to show how compliant you have to be in Europe. And the second one, which might be more interesting for you, is the European Accessibility Act, which is one directed to private sector, and it was adopted in April 2019. So you have to know that the European Accessibility Act is a piece of legislation that aims to improve accessibility for people with disabilities by setting requirements for products and services across the European Union. So it's based on the same standard as the Web Accessibility Directives, and it includes the POUR principle, which is perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. I will talk about that later. The European Accessibility Act will take effect on June 28 this year. What does it mean? It means that private sector businesses offering a consumer-facing product or services have to be compliant with this directive. So if you sell a product or services in EU, then the EAA will impact you. But if also you sell a product or services in EU, but you are a non-based company, you will be also impacted by the EAA. So it covers a wide range of products. Can be smartphone, e-readers, ticket machine, e-commerce, banking services, everything that have a consumer facing. And members that are part of the European Union have their own enforcement and penalties. Businesses that ignore accessibility aren't just breaking the law, they are turning away potential customers. And this is from Carl Groves. This is an accessibility expert. And this quote is really the spirit of EAA. This is an opportunity for future-proof customer experience and reach over 100 million of people with disability in Europe. So more customers for your company, right? By starting early and setting expectation, designing with accessibility from day one, it will avoid costly retrofit and last-minute scrambles. So let's see now real-world cases. So you know, teeny low contrast text in code and UI are usually an issue. And I will speak about something which I experienced myself. So many of you might know this website. This is a Django website. And during my internship, I learned Django, and as a good worker, I was going to this website. But I was doing my research really late, by night. And when you look at this website by night, it can hurt your eyes, and it was really my case. So there was no toggle team at that time, and I decided that I will see if I find a way to change this, because I was looking through this website a lot of time, and it was really hard. So there was an issue. And it was this one. It was created in January 22 of 2021. So I will read the text. Django website is simple and good, but what about the health of the developers? As of now, there is no provision of dark theme. Having a dark theme will improve user experience. I would like to work on this issue. And there is 6 like. So this issue, when I see it, it was the end of 2021. And there was nothing which has been done. And a lot of comments to say, oh, I would like to work on this issue. Can someone work on this? Please do something. It's like my retinas will thank you. When I see these comments, I decided to do something. So my plan was to take the white theme and sort of reverse the color and increase the contrast. So what I did at the end is I added the dark theme, I improved the contrast, but I also had the ability to switch from dark to light theme because some people actually like the light theme. To use the OS system by default, so if you have your computer in dark mode, it will show the website in dark mode. And then you can also keep the user preference, so if you close the page and you go back, it will keep what you have, the tab you have picked at the last time. So I did, and it was merged. And the issue was open more than 1 year, which is a lot. So I'm saying all of this story to let you know that high contrast on text and UI is really important. Adjustable text size and avoiding light-on-light color scheme. And multiple themes have the benefit of people to be able to choose what they prefer and switch when it's needed. So just a question for me. Who is using the dark mode on the Django website? That's cool. So one number that will relate to what I'm saying is 79.1% of the homepage has low contrast text in this year. And this is from the self-survey Web and Million. So it's a lot of websites who has low contrast, and this should be improved. So the summary, because just in case you are starting to be sleeping, you have the summary of every cases, right? So for code and user interface, you have to make sure that there is enough contrast, to add different themes and the ability to switch between them, keep the user preference, so people don't have to click again and redo everything, and have adjustable text size, because sometimes it's better when you can zoom in and zoom out, just in case. So another case, data visualization. I know some of you like create some graph and fancy things to show to people how numbers relate. And you have to know that visualization is really great to show something, but it shouldn't be the only way to show. Some people might not even able to see the graph. And the color you have set might not be the one you expect that people will see. So let's take this example. So this chart is visible. You can see 3 sections. From left to right, there is the first section in brown, which represents around 10%, which is the other choice. The red section, which represents around a quarter, which is tortellini. And the rest, which is in light red, which represents the tagliatelle. Yeah, I try my best. So as you can see, this is fake data. I try to have something to show. And this is how someone who is red blind will see the graph I've created. So right now, you are not fully sure which one is other and which one is tortellini. You are only sure about tagliatelle since it should be the light green. But yeah, it's just shade of green, and you have to figure out on your own. And the label is not directly linked to the graph, so you are not fully sure which one should be. So in that case, it's better if you include the label directly to the graph or inside the graph if you can. And use modif to make sure that you're not only relying on color. You can put some dots or lines to be able to distinguish even if the color is not helpful. So this is for a graph, but this also applies for forms. If you are creating forms on websites, like don't actually rely only on colors. If you put a field that have an error and which is red, some people will not notice the red, right? In that case, it will be just green, and they will think it will be okay and no idea what is going on. So you have to take into account the error message for people to figure out that there is an issue and they have to fix it. And the label is also really important. if you have a field which is not directly labeled, for screen reader, for example, they will just say text and no idea what you have to fill inside. Another thing to consider is to have diverse data sets. Data set should include various data, but you should also include these abilities to be able to improve inclusivity. This way, your data will be more diverse and you will have a better representation. And sometimes you cannot label properly the image, and in this case, you have to add an alternative text to that. The text you might have just aside the image might not really relate to the image, so you have to consider to add an alternative text in each cases. For example, in this slide, you can see an image. You have no idea of what is it if I'm not telling you what is it about. And the text of the slide is not either helpful. So this image is a representation of Manhattan with some data to show the data set. I put the link because I'm not fully familiar with this. Summary of the case 2. Data visualization should not only rely on color alone. You should use texture and pattern. Use direct labeling. It can be on the graph or connected to the graph. Add alternative text for images, and make sure of the diversity of the dataset. Another case to know is when you have unstructured code and inaccessible docs or website. So assistive tool, I hate this word. It's rely on the HTML structure of a page. They translate it to an accessible tree, and this tree is used to render the content to the user. So for example, a screen reader will use the accessible tree to be able to render the content. So if you have a page with some titles, like let's say a heading 1 and a heading 2, it will be rendered to the screen reader, and this way they are able to navigate through the website without actually seeing the website. And there is 71.6% of people who navigate through headings on the website. But there is also other way to navigate through a website. I will show that later. So the structure of the page are really important in that case. You should have only one heading, level 1, in each page. If you have more than that, some people have no idea which one is the title, which one is not supposed to be the title. And you can have as many as necessary for other headings. It can be H2, H3, H4, and so on, but it has to be in the correct order. If you put an H2 and then an H3, it doesn't make any sense, and some people will think that you may have missed some headings and you just didn't properly do it, or just that it's supposed to be like that, but you don't really know. And as it was mentioned in other talks, like the documentation is the first thing you go if you want to learn more about something. So you have to care about that to make sure this is accessible. And one way you can verify that is some tools that check if your HTML is valid, but also to check the structure of it. So this is one example. I use Heading browser extension here. So I run it on a Tox package, which is on PyPI. As you can see, there is a few issues, and I raised an issue for that. I'm happy. So this is one way you can verify if your headings are in the correct order and fix it just in case you have to fix it. Another way to navigate on the website is through landmarks region. So landmarks region is sections that actually are created from the HTML tags. So for example, if you use a main tag, it will create a main region, or if you use a header tag, it will create a banner region. And this way you can more easily navigate on the website, and you will avoid to do all the links to be able, for example, to access to the main content. Like if I would like to access to the main content just by hitting the tab key, I will have to go to Django, then all the link of the navigation, the toggle button, and then I will access to the main content. So it's a lot of click just to be able to read the main content. So this way, in Screen Reader, you can access through each region and you can skip some of them to access directly to the thing you want. And for people who are lazy, it's a good way also to navigate more quickly on the website. So structure of the page matters, but content too. So this is an example of a way to be able to do fake bold and fake italic. Behind that, it's Unicode character, which shows the style, but is actually not real letters. And I will show you how it's rendered with screen readers. So this is two videos. There is the first one from Jaws, which is one of the most screen reader used, and the other one is from NVDA.
Please bold small d bold small o bold small n bold small o bold small d. The shrimp scampi in the fridge. For the tasty italic small b italic small u italic small d italic small w italic small italic small l italic small l italic small k italic small italic small l italic small l italic small y italic small o italic small u.
I hope you understand everything, right? So yeah, the initial sentence, and please do not eat the shrimp scampi in the fridge. It's tasty, but it will kill you. So the other version.
Please eat the shrimp scampi in the fridge. It is tasty.
So it skips just all the fake stuff. So technically, you might be dying with this. So as you can see, it can be really hard, and please don't use that. Summary of the case 3. Structure of the page should use proper HTML tags. Make sure of the order of the headings, and it has to be relevant. You should add labels and link them properly when this is needed. And you should add landmarks. So now, why fixing accessibility helps everyone? So there is always few things that you think it's really useful for accessibility and people with disabilities, but there are some things you actually use it just because it's easy for you or it makes your life easier. And some of the things are actually created initially for people with disability. Did you know that the remote control for TV was originally invented for people in wheelchair to be able to turn off their TV if they cannot access to the button? And I'm pretty sure like you all use this remote control without knowing that. And in tech, you have the famous copy-paste button. I'm pretty sure you know this one. It seems trivial, but it's useful for a lot of people. Like if you are like me and you are too lazy to copy all the code, or if you know someone who interacts by voice on a website, you have to actually say all the command and select some code. It's really hard by voice command. But if you have to click on one button and it will do everything for you, it's definitely more easier. So think about that. Another example is subtitles. Subtitles are a lot used by everyone. It's used for people with disability who are not able to see the video. So the caption will be rendered to assistive tools. For people who actually can't see the video but like are learning a new language, you want to see actually if the text is what you have really understand. So this is a good way to make sure you really understand the video. Or another one is when you are in public transport and you would like actually to really see this video, but you cannot turn the sound on, so you will just use the caption and be able to see this video. So it's definitely used by everyone, and it's useful for everyone. So now, how to make an impact as a developer or data scientist. The first thing to do is you have to test. And to be able to test, you have to consider 4 principles in accessibility. The first one is perceivable. It's when the information and the user interface component must be presentable to a user and they can perceive it. The second one is operable. User interface component and navigation must be operable. If there is an action, you should be able to do it, whatever the way you are doing it. If it's through screen reader, or if it's your mouse, or if it's through keyboard. It must be understandable, so the information and operation of the user interface must be understandable. And lastly, robust. The content must be robust through enough that it can be interpreted reliably by a wide variety of user agents, including the assistive technologies. So one way to do that is there is a link which is the Easy Checks from Web Accessibility Initiative. So if you are getting started in accessibility, this is a good way to have guidelines which is less overwhelming than the web content accessibility guidelines. And it provides a lot of sources and things related also to visual and audio content. And it's a good way to start to fix things I've mentioned in my previous slides. And you have also the full guidelines, which is the WCAG. It's a few success criteria that are divided by the POUR section, so the perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. And you can, if there is something you are not fully sure it should be the way it should be done, you have those guidelines to help you. So I mentioned how to test manually, but you can also test automatically. There are a lot of tools that exist. It can be through extension or things you install in your device. And one example I use here on the Ferrari website is the Wave Browser Inspection. This one will allow you to check the structure of the headings, potential issues that the tool may find. You can also see for contrast error and the structure to make sure it's going in the right order. Another tool I would like to mention is the Access DevTool browser extension. And the company behind Axe also have a package which is you can use in your pipeline to keep accessibility checked in your work and avoid some regression. So this here, like I use on the Gucci website to see how it looks like, and the potential issue you can have here will be the one which will be used by the package and you will get directly on your pipeline. I mentioned contrast before, and one way to be able to check contrast, there is a lot of tools for contrast checker, but I really like this one, which is whocanuse.com. You can provide 2 colors, and you can actually see how it will be rendered through the diverse type of visual issue. And the contrast ratio you have for the 2 colors you provided. You have to know that the really low minimum should be 3.8, and there is a WCAG grading for that. The lower one is single A, and the higher one is triple A. So if you can aim for triple A, this is nice, but best is double A, which is the most standard. And last but not least, what you have to think about is the user's needs first. Because you can test accessibility with a lot of tools, and you can be compliant, but it doesn't mean it's really accessible. And let me tell you a story. So there was a company who created a form, and in this form, there is a phone field required. So the form is WCAG compliant, everything is fine, it's working. And it was tested by a deaf person. So the deaf person started to fill the form, and when they see the phone number, they didn't want to fill it because they cannot enter. So since the field was required, answer like a fake number and continue. And when it was about to submit, she realized that there is no way, the person has no way to provide the fact that she is deaf and they don't want to be contacted by phone. So the company has to redo the website, the form to be able to change this, make sure the phone number is not required anymore, find a way to, for the people to provide how they want to be contacted. And as you can see, the form was initially accessible, but it's not really at the end. And I put a picture here of someone I met recently, which is Emmanuelle above. And she mentioned on the slide on TEDx in Paris that nothing about us without us. And you cannot see in the picture, but she is actually deaf, and she is giving a talk. And her talk is mentioning the fact that you have to have people who have actually disability to be able to test it and provide the best way to have a content accessible. So are you ready to make the change now? So if more people are aware and make those changes, the web will be definitely improved. So you have to include people with disabilities, make sure it's really taken account at the first beginning. The designer have to take that into account also, otherwise you have to redo everything, and it's a more higher cost than doing the website and at the first time. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. I learned a lot of things. I think I already saw some presentation of you about accessibility, but every time I learn something. And I think also other people did the same things. I hope you added some question on Slido. I'm checking right now, and you have time to put other on it. Okay, the first one is this presentation accessible? Will it pass the test?
Haha, that's a good question. This is not fully accessible, unfortunately. If I had to do it accessibly, I had to do it with HTML and CSS, and that's all. And there is not always a tool to do that. But one thing that could have improved this presentation is to enable the caption, but sometimes it gives some weird results. And I try my best to make it accessible. There is alternative text on each images, and it's only text in it, so I did my best.
Thank you. And the other question is, what's the most difficulty part of the accessibility?
I think it's the fact that some people doesn't understand that accessible is not something optional. It should be something which should be allowed by definition to everyone.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this one is, can accessibility to also in terms of helping AI agents?
Can you repeat the question?
You can read it directly.
Can accessibility solved also in terms of helping AI agent? I'm not sure I understand the question.
Maybe the person that put this want to explain more. Okay. Can you come here? Can you come here? So people. Thank you. And you can put other question to that.
Yes, in terms of also helping web scrapers and AI agents in order to navigate and operate on the website. So it's something strange with respect to humans, but also helping the automatic navigation of AI agents.
Do you mean helping tool who use AI to do something, or
So you are implying that if something is
or do you mean like the use of the AI in terms of like having a better accessibility on the website?
Like autonomous actions on the website by AI agents, which is the new frontier of AI and like a new protocol in using the website, but it's like a automatic book of reservation for airplanes and so on. But it's a bit strange question, so it's no problem.
I think I understand. If I understand correctly, it's something like if your website is accessible, it's it's better for okay. It can help also, I don't know, robots or bots from Google to track them.
Oh,
Okay, but
I don't have the answer, but we can look that together if you want.
okay. Next question is: do you have any suggestion on how to prioritize the different accessible approaches?
I think it depends on what we are talking about for approaches, but one thing you have to think about is what is the purpose of the tool, the website initially, and how it can be useful for a user, like how the user should interact it. Because sometimes the one tool is built the way that the client would like it, and how the user use it is not how it was originally thinked, and it's creating some issue, and you have to do some weird things, let's say, to be able to fit both concerns. So if it's a thing from the user perspective, you will have less issue that way, and the design might be actually more easy.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next one is, it's a long one, but I try to summarize. Do you think we suffer from a lack of disabled developers who can be involved in projects and provide first-hand feedback?
Can you repeat the question?
Do you think we have lack of disabled developers? We don't have enough disabled developers that can help us and give feedbacks for helping testing accessibility.
Oh, I think there is actually developers, but most of the time there is no way to be able to provide like feedbacks, or they are not willing to help if they feel like the company or the person behind the website is trying to improve accessibility. For example, the photo I've showed on my last slide, this is actually a developer.
Okay.
And she's French.
Okay. The other one is one of the examples was about people who can only use one arm. How can we improve accessibility for them?
Usually people who have only one arm will use the voice command to be able to do things, or split keyboard, or there is like keyboard specifically for people who use only one hand. So if the use of the keyboard is improved, or make sure that the website is accessible through voice command, this way it will help people with one arm, for example.
Okay, thank you. The next one is, how do I include people with disabilities in trying to improve my website? I need suggestion.
One thing you can do is, if we talk about a website, is having an accessibility statement. This way you can say that you actually care about accessibility and you're trying to meet a certain requirement, for example, WCAG AA, and provide a way to give feedback, like a form or an email, so people can actually reach out to you to say, okay, I'm blind, I've tried your website, but I cannot do this. Can you please help?
So I have one one question for you, is what would you suggest to people that are here or listening remotely as the first move to improve the accessibility of the community we are in, the Python community or the SUP community, Django, or First API or other? What do you suggest to do?
Is to start small. For example, alternative text is really something that a lot of you might know. You just have to put the text in the alt attribute, and that's it. And many people don't do that, unfortunately. So there are like things which are quite easy to fix, like the structure of an HTML page. Many of you knows already HTML, but you might not know that a tag might influence the way you use screen reader or accessible tools for that. So there are things which you can really start small, like make sure if you use some tools to test the colors, that it's actually visible for people who are colorblind. There are a few things you can do, and the website I mentioned before, the Easy Check, is really simple to start with, and it's small things like, for example, add the attribute lang in the page to make sure the screen reader will read the page in English, because if the screen reader is in French and it reads in French, I can tell you this is really weird. So small things like that might help. But the Easy Check from the Web Accessibility initiative is a real good one to start with.
Okay, thank you very much. There are also other questions, but we have not enough time. I'll share with Sarah, and maybe you can also try to reach Sarah.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any question, and if there are questions remotely, I will answer on Discord.
Yeah, and before, I remember to you that at 7:30 we will go to have the working in Bologna, and then at 8:30 we will have the Pie dinner. If you have the tickets, I think Sarah will join us for the dinner. And before we leave, we have 15 seconds to take a selfie together.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And you can participate. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Go. Thank you, everyone. See you.